one.
Vicky edit it on
Yeah,
that.
we'll edit that for you.
All right. Hello and welcome to the SisterGirl session. My name is Niecee.
And I'm Voni.
And we have created this podcast so that we can come on and share our life experiences, lessons learned, and just to share some laughs, of course. And it's all developed around hopefully a good Gen X vibe. You know
Yep,
what I mean?
I do.
So today we have a topic of caring for aging and sick parents. In the Gen X generation, we have a lot of baby boomers. Parents are living longer. And so we'd like to broach that topic because there are a lot of lessons that I've learned and experienced in that, and things that we feel like we could share with others who may be facing those same challenges. So with that, I think I'll turn it over to Bonnie. Why don't you kind of discuss our story just a little bit high level?
Where do we start?
All right.
Well, we as a family, my mama had her house, right?
Yes.
And so what I want to describe is how we came together and
Yes.
how we kind of got to that point. Mama lived in her house 20 years. How long was Mama in her house?
That was 20 plus.
20 plus years. My
Yes.
husband and I been in our house for 20 plus years. So we talked about other cultures who bring people together, save money, build wealth, or save by bringing their resources together, reducing costs. All the while, I have to admit, Niecee, you and I had conversations about Mama aging, getting older. You had some concerns.
Yes.
I figured you probably could use some help too.
Yes.
I wanted to know. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So I'm going to kind of step in just a little bit and explain why I would have been there with Mama.
Yeah,
because
you got to give a little back history.
Yes, because of course I was apartment dweller.
Yes.
Yes. And I raised my children and grandchildren and things like that. But once my daughter got to a certain age, when she turned 18, and we weren't quite vibing right at that time. Two women living in the household. She done became a woman. I'm one. I'm like, look, you know what I mean? So I was thinking about us separating, and I started to explore moving out on my own, exploring other options. And Mama offered me to come and roommate with her.
Yeah.
And so I was like, say less. Let me order a U-Haul right quick. I'll be there directly.
Yeah.
And so I have been with Mom about maybe almost 10 years before we all came together. We kind of broached this subject of us getting together. So I'll turn that back over to you. Yes.
But you guys lived together. So you went from her house. She ended up giving the house to the family. It kind of became a home for other members of the family.
Yes.
But y'all moved to an apartment together.
Yes.
And I recall that was when you had kind of shared with me, you were starting to see Mom's changes in Mama as she was starting to age. And now our mother, she was a bright, vibrant woman, very independent. She was kind of an only child, but there's a little bit more history to that we could talk about later. But she was raised as an only child. So very much so, she was used to beating by her own drum. She did her own thing. We could go influence it, but it's really not much we could do about Mama. But we had the conversation around bringing together families and how could we, we spent a lot of time together. My mom and I, it was an every weekend thing. Niecee, you come in there with us sometime, but me and Mama had been doing that for years. It was just how she was like my best friend.
Yeah,
she
was
my best friend.
Yes.
And so we were hanging out. What you doing this weekend? Okay, I gotta go to such and such store. Okay, well, let's do that and do lunch. We did all of that. So we were spending a lot of time together. And so we decided, okay, we're gonna pool our resources. Well, I had made a career change at a certain time at this particular time where we were deciding to give it a go. Yes. That was a very Niecee, what do you call it? You said we were shifting.
And we were in a shift.
We were in a shift at that time in our lives. So I had decided to leave a company that I had worked for like 19 years. and then tried to go into business for myself. But again, that's another story. But we decided we're going to merge our households. So I sold my house. Mama had her house going to the family. And we pooled our resources.
Gave up our apartment.
You gave up your apartment.
Had kind of gotten tired of those. She
going
from the apartment dwelling, from a homeowner to the apartment dwelling. All was going well, except for we had a family move in above us that had kids and a little boy and the kids. Oh man, they ran and bumped and jumped. Oh man, they used to drive mama crazy. So the apartment dweller thing, it was nice where we didn't have to worry about maintenance. You know, home ownership, it comes with a lot. You got to do a lot. But, you know, when we were dealing with that, mom was like, I'm so over it. So, you know, we were thinking about buying us a house and moving out.
I forgot about that part.
Yes, we were considering going to buy a house again.
Oh, y'all own? Yes. Y'all was just going to buy a house.
At first. And then we kind of started talking about how the other cultures pull their resources together and are able to do more in life because they take that path. Yeah. And so it just kind of evolved into that.
And I'm going to just say this about what I noticed about you and Mama. It was like the houses that y'all wanted, we wanted more. We wanted a bigger, more house that was more modern, etc. So it was also an incentive for us to pool our resources because I did too. My home, even though I had my own house, I had lived in it for so many years. I had done all the upgrades and different things. And I want to level up.
So, my goodness. What's my favorite word? You know, I didn't want to live in no old dilapidated house. Right. I wanted something nice. Yes.
So that was kind of also kind of the incentive for us to pool our resources together. But the thing was, once we got to that point, I was kind of going through my process. I was trying to, and Mama and Niecee supported me through it. Kind of went out and doing the entrepreneurial attempt. It was a great experience. Wasn't for me. I did realize that, and again, that might be another topic for us to talk about. I think it could be.
I've tried many.
Niecee, but we can talk about that. But
and this is another one.
This is all right. I know. So
because I want to create a community. Sorry, go ahead.
All right, this is true. Right. Yes. Okay, with this effort. But we found a home. I'll kind of jump to the chase. We found our home. We had the certain conditions because Mom was aging, and we had to have her on a level where her master bedroom was level with the kitchen, the washer, dryer, all of those things, because she had arthritis pretty bad in her hips and different things. And so we had to make sure she could function well. So the day I started on my new job, I had to go to orientation to another state. And we moved into the house that same the weekend before I started my new job. It was very impactful.
Well, you and T, your husband, that's her husband's name, T, if you'll hear us reference him. Yeah. You and T moved in first. Yes. And we hadn't moved in. It was in phases. Yes. So we weren't moving in all at the same time. We were probably
a month or so in there, a month or two in the house by
ourselves. Like 2 to 3 weeks.
Like weeks? Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't a month.
Felt long.
Yeah, it felt long. Like we were coming over there, but we weren't all moved in. Yes.
Yeah. But once we all come together, it was different, kind of living again with my mom, right? So I'm in my 50s. This was only 7-8 years ago.
We've been together 6 years.
6 years
so far.
No,
2018.
2018.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, since 2018. So and even then, I was in my 50s, right?
Yeah.
It's about 7. I had just turned 50.
Yes, you had just turned 50. You are so right.
I had just turned 50.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was different for me because, I hadn't lived with my mom since I was 18. 19.
Yeah.
So it's different. So having that experience of living with Mom and my sister. And my sister and my husband with my mom and my sister. So that was a whole thing. Everybody trying to get used to each other, what each other's quirks are, etc. But through that process, I did get to see Mom's the differences in mom because
from
her younger years, but also what I consider somewhat limited interactions with her. So mine were phases, right?
Yeah,
I'd be with
shopping,
her, we go hang out. And I had started to notice that when we would go shopping sometimes, or we would go out, sometimes she couldn't go too long. Yes. Because her leg was bothering her, or her hip would start to, or she'd get winded or something. Mm-hmm. So she said, I'm gonna stay in the car this time, or for certain stores. So that was part of me understanding, some of the feedback you had shared with me about her, because you were living with her day to day.
Yes.
But the good things that I loved about being back with mom was that she was and I'm a nurturer. She's a nurturer. She loved doing things. She would listen for different things that people liked or didn't like. And she always paid attention to those things. So you always kind of had your favorite something that you would want to have. So she made sure she did it. And she was our household manager when we were in that phase. Yes. She was our manager. So she did the bills. She kept up with groceries or organization of the house and food, and if the repairmen, different people had to come in, she was the point person. She made sure all that got done, because we were all working now. Yeah, you working, I'm working, right? Go ahead.
And then I will still say that while she was the house manager and things like that, like, even though she had started to shift and you saw some of the changes I had been sharing with you, she was very self-sufficient. She lived her whole life. She living her best life. She'd go out and do her own thing.
She still had her girlfriends and people. Now she was single.
Aerobics and stuff.
She was single. She had been for
she never really had a totally serious relationship
after her and my father divorced.
Yes.
She didn't she had different relationships, but she didn't have any longer term committed relationships. But she found her own life after divorce. And I admired in it. And I thought, wow, okay, yeah, that gives some people you see don't bounce back.
Right.
But she had a really good network of people around her. She, developed friends from her work environment, etc. And even with she made family a big focus and keeping us all connected. Right. So, but she would go out. She did aerobics. Yeah. She
socializing, neighborhood stuff.
Oh my gosh! If you think about her neighborhood stuff when she was even in the house, and so much so that when we moved together, she was missing that, and so she had to come to the new neighborhood and go get in that one. Yes, so she could not be active in her mind thought process, because she didn't like to be bored at all.
And when you say that, I think about different factors that impact somebody's well-being and sense of purpose. Us moving from her home that she had before her and I moved to the apartment when she had her 20 plus year home. When we moved her out of that neighborhood, that caused a big shift
in her
sense of well-being and purpose and things like that. Because like Voni mentioned, is that when we were we were in the apartment and I used to talk to you about different things that I noticed about her, it was she had to find her new way of being. And sometimes that would cause her to go into states of depression. And that I would notice, but she denied and keep pushing on.
I saw it when we were together.
Yes.
I would see it. When she get in those little dips and she didn't know what was going on, or it wasn't active enough.
Yes,
for her.
Yes. Right. And so I think she longed for her old life. And sometimes even though she's no longer with us, I don't want to put no words in her mouth, but it's like, I think sometimes she had some regrets about leaving.
Oh,
because she had what she had built. But she definitely went through an emotional state because of that. And deep in my heart, I feel like some of those things impacted her health and well-being.
I do agree. So think back on when COVID hit, right? So we moved together in 2018. So y'all think about COVID hit 2020, right?
Yes.
So we a couple of years in. Thank God we all made it through COVID together, because we were spending a lot of time together, day, night.
Yes.
Nobody being able to go out during those periods. But during that period, she was volunteering at a food pantry.
Yes.
Remember?
Yes.
So that was one. I told you she's got a lot of activity she got to go do. So she was going to her aerobic. She, you know, maybe it was multiple times a week. Then she had to cut it back to once a week. But that again was part of her little extended family and friends. That was a part of her life, and we'd hear stories about the people, and we got to know everybody through where she would come home. That was her work. She'd come home, tell us about her work and what she was doing. But that's where I felt in COVID, when we were there with COVID, it was also impactful, because one of the things that I could share, she was a smoker for many years. So with that, at least on an annual basis, probably the last 10 years of her life, at least once a year, we would have an exacerbation of something with her breathing related that would cause us to have to go to the ER.
Yes.
And then she hated it because she didn't ever want to go. They always kept her, even if it was for a day or two. She did not like it to run more tests on her. One of the times that she was in there, they did find like a little thing on one of her lungs,
a nodule
there. So we always knew, monitor. She was all avid about going to the doctor,
always.
All of the different specialists that she had, etc. So she really tried to take care of herself very well. So she would push us. Did you go to the doctor?
Go to the doctor?
All that.
And I will preface that would say, like, to speak to that, she was the type of person that went to the doctor diligent, went to the dentist, went to the eye doctor, went to all of her appointments, and did what she could as closely as she could to implement the changes or suggestions the doctor gave her. If they prescribed her something, she would take it.
Yeah.
She did everything that was asked of her. She tried, not everything, because she liked her sweets. She liked her sweets. So, you know, sometimes your mama
that was her weakness.
Sweets,
yeah.
But she
and I
know too. Is it hereditary?
It is hereditary. I don't know, but habit. It's a learned habit. But I do recognize that when we were in COVID, I saw it. I saw that dip in her depression. She was anxious. It was like, I want to do something. I can't stay. And she would tell me, I can't stay up in here like this. I want to get out and do something. So it was very, very important.
And she used to get like that during the winter, too.
Yeah. She get the winter blues. But she didn't drive. She did not. If it snowed, she didn't drive. And she didn't really want us driving.
She didn't want you to go anywhere.
She was like, where you going?
Dangerous.
She called you up and was like, where you going? You going to work today, Mommy? Yes, Mom, I'm going to work. You sure? You shouldn't be out there. We'd have this whole dialogue because she worried about us as children, but she still understood she wanted too, that sense of independence. Right. What were you about to say?
I was just wondering, so based on what we've just discussed, what would you say, not like, of course we can't give anybody any advice or anything, but what would you say are some of the key things that you would monitor if you were living with an aging parent, or even if you weren't living with them, that you were caring for them and tuning into their well-being as they were getting older?
I as I reflect on that, I wish I had asked Mama to go to the doctor with her more. I did not we did not engage to that level of detail.
I did sometimes.
Did you?
I did. She didn't like to let me in the room sometimes because I tell on her.
I know. But
that's like, well, this happened, doctor.
Yeah. You got
last week, she
almost fell or she couldn't get her balance, whatever it was, right?
Yes.
That was mine. I would have wanted to be more interactive. And I think because of our relationship and friendship, I feel like I could have gotten her to do it, but I never asked. So that was a regret I have. I have a regret that I didn't get involved in it more often because as she aged, and then maybe in the last couple of years of her life, right?
Yeah.
And especially when she got diagnosed, then I was very active, or I was, I'd write down the questions, and she
jumping ahead.
Yeah, I am jumping ahead, but she would allow me. So I felt like if I would have asked, she might have offered and let me.
This is interesting. I was today years old when I found that out that was one of your grits, and we really close. I never heard you say that before. I'm
like, Is that I wish I had asked her.
Yeah,
because you know you got to ask mama. It ain't like you just go.
And that's one thing. Don't just assume anything. You never know, to me, what anybody is going through internally.
Yeah, and because what I learned from it, though, too, is some of the things, and I will talk about that as we get closer, because Niecee, you remind me, thank you for not jumping the gun too much. There were things not done that had somebody asked could have been done.
Yes. All right.
Yeah,
So with that, what are we talking about here? So we are, let's move ahead, because what we're speaking of is that, like we said, Mom, she went to the doctor religiously, and this particular time frame, she went to her mammogram. We jumping ahead.
We jumping on here. We
been
to together.
2021, 2020.
2022.
2022.
So we done been 2 years post-COVID. We done the whole COVID.
Yes.
We done all that.
Yes. Yeah. And so she had went to her mammogram, and she came back home and said that they think they saw something on her mammogram.
Very small.
We're not going to worry.
Just go have a biopsy.
Yeah, I got to go back. She had to go back for another test.
Oh, that's
over the mammograms. Deeper, like a ultrasound and, scans and stuff.
Okay.
And then they were a little bit curious about it. So they wanted her to have the biopsy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, as you said. So she had the biopsy. And it ended up coming back that they found cancer.
Yeah.
And so when they found the cancer, it was just a small no. They weren't too worried about. Well, this is what they told us. So of course she went to an oncologist.
They referred her there.
They referred her to an oncologist. And what's the people called that do the radiation type thing?
They are radiologists.
Radiologists.
Yeah, they are the radiologists.
So she was had to primarily send them.
That was her form of treatment.
Yes,
she did
and so the oncologist, when we found out, and I'll never forget, I had to work, and you went to the appointment with her when we went for the consultation on the plan of treatment. What are we doing about this? Okay, the whole family's like, oh Lord,
Yeah. And so Niecee and I live with her. Yeah, let's dig in a little bit. Yeah, we live together.
Yes,
right. So we were close to Mom, knowing what was actually happening in real time. Now we have other siblings and her grandchildren who are very close and wanting to know and stay up to date too on it. So we have a certain part of our tribe that usually don't avoid health related things. We have some that they figure either, I don't know what the answer is, either they figure we got it or they are not comfortable doing that. I don't know exactly what it is.
It's a fear.
We don't know. We don't get in it. But what I've observed, whenever any of us have different health things related, there's certain ones that show up.
Right.
And and that's usually you, me, my daughter.
Your daughter.
And and Mama.
Yes.
And Mama was one. It's 4 of us. 4 or 5.
Yeah.
They usually come. No matter who it was, right? But that was who went to that doctor's appointment. So I was there with her. Were you and Jackie on the phone?
Yes.
Okay. So
we were dialed in on the phone.
So I had my cell phone there. They there. We had come with a whole list of questions.
Yes. They're speaking to her, and they were like, "Well, it was just a small breast cancer. They should be able to take care of radiation." But like I was saying, that during that call, I remember asking the doctor, "Well, don't you think we should do a bigger scan, more tests, so we can know that this is it?
Yeah.
Is this all we have to deal with before we get started on treatment?" And she was like, oh yeah, this is just a little small nodule. Just a small nodule.
What did she say? Call it 1C? What was it? What did she tell us? Was it a 1? It was tell you something.
I'm not good at remembering the terminologies, but I know it was supposed to be small, and that all they needed
she could get through it. She could be cured from
one series of radiations, and that should take care of it. She shouldn't even have to do any chemo, and all. And so we're like, well, okay, all right,
trust in the process.
So Mama went through another shift. So as you could tell, our thoughts about and our experience related to caring for an aging and sick parent is our mom. So Mama, she went, she had another shift then, and she kind of became quiet.
Yes.
And she was dealing with, I think, her own mortality and getting a diagnosis. I don't know anybody who wouldn't if you would get something like that, no matter how small.
Even if she thought it was curable.
Yeah.
She still dealt with the diagnosis itself.
Yeah. One of her friends that she worked with at the volunteer
I forgot about her.
had dealt with some cancer, and she had made it through it, and but Mama was closer through the whole journey. Our stepmom had went through a long journey
with breast cancer.
With cancer, with breast cancer and everything. So we had recently just been dealing with that, and our stepmom had passed away from it not too long before that, and that was like in 2019, right before COVID, right before that happened. And I was heavily involved in her care. So, Mama heard a lot about it, and because she helped support me in my emotional state in dealing with that. And so she dealt with a lot during that. But when you would talk to her, try to engage her about it, she wouldn't really go into it. And I'd be like, man, so you back up. You want to give people their space,
respect.
But I just always just kind of, it got to where I just be sitting there just to be there as a emotional support, because she didn't want to talk about it. That's one thing.
I'm gonna tell you this though. So okay,
she like, I'm gonna keep living.
Right, she was, and I love that, and that was the part. But when she got the diagnosis, or once the biopsy came back, me and my husband we were out of the country.
Oh yeah. They were on a trip.
We were on a trip, honey. I was ready to come home. I had looked up bags up. I had looked up the flights and everything. And so I got the news over the phone, and I was like, hearing about it. It kind of gave you a jolt too, to hear that about your mom. And so
she was like, you
better not come back. You do
she would have been so upset with you.
So upset with me, but I didn't do it because you
probably
do what
didn't have
Mama
much
said.
Fun no more.
No, but it put me too in a mental state.
Yes,
because it's fear.
Yes,
it is fear, the unknown.
Yes.
That you don't know. Okay. So Mama got a good attitude about it. I'm gonna have one too, because I believe that what you try to focus on and not think doom gloom.
Yeah,
energy you put out. You gotta create it.
Yeah,
and keep that positive. So she had it. I'm gonna have it too.
Yes,
that was my attitude.
Yes, and so things were going really well. And she went to her appointments for her oncologists. She went to the radiation. But as we were going through this whole experience, she started having pains. It's like
in her back.
She couldn't really get up. Her legs and her back were hurting. Now I will say that she had always been having these pains in her legs for a few years.
Because her hip, she's always had arthritis.
And we like, Arthur?
That's what she called it.
Arthur got me. I gotta go take my pain meds. But this back pain was really, really, really huge. And so,
and she was not a small woman.
Yes,
that's the other part.
She was a plus
size woman.
Yes.
So some of it could have been weight related. That's what I had attributed a lot of it to.
Yeah.
To her size, even her arthritis pains. And she did too.
Yeah.
But it was just like, I thought that some of the back was related to that. But go ahead.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, we were kind of, we were just like, man, that's, Mama, what you done? Did you twist your back? Did you?
Yeah,
you've been in here trying to pick stuff up. You've been trying to do something. We don't know nothing about Mama.
Exactly.
She feisty. She try to do stuff
and then
fix stuff around the house. Stuff. You're like, Mama, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And so, it's a joyful experience when I think back on my experience.
It was like,
oh man, I wouldn't trade it for the world. But you go through stuff with your parents. You're like, Mama,
fussing,
and she's like, who's the parent?
Exactly.
So
you don't tell me what to do,
right? And so
like,
I digress. Okay. But she was having these back pains, and so we were like, man, it got so bad she wasn't really getting up. She was like wasn't moving about through her days like we normally saw her. So it's like, okay, Mama, we about to have to take you to the doctor. And by this time, because after COVID, during COVID, both Voni and I were blessed to be able to come home to work. We weren't in the workforce that actually came out of work. We were able to continue working through it all. And from that point on, we had been work from home people. And so we were working from home, and we both were like, okay, we're going to have to go take Mama to the hospital, to go see what, because she was real bad this particular day. She was hurting real bad.
It was her back and side, if I remember right.
Yes.
And anytime she would take a deep breath or something, I thought it was still respiratory, just the normal.
I thought she
that time of year, but it was summer.
Something.
It was summer though, so it's not normal for her. And remember too, they had given her antibiotics and steroids thinking she was having a respiratory problem.
Yes.
They thought she was doing all that. And it didn't work. We couldn't get it working. So then they changed it and did a different antibiotic. So then it just wasn't getting better. Okay.
Yeah. And so we both took off work, and we were like, we're going to the ER. We went to the ER. We go with Mama. It was morning. We decided that morning
we don't get it over. I took my laptop. I took my laptop. I'm sitting there. We both did. We both did. We sitting over here working. We just thinking we're going to get these formalities.
Go ahead, get Mama healed up. Let's get home. So they took Mom, and they went to do the x-ray, and they came back. And we were just kind of sitting there, like waiting, Mom was just like, "What y'all working on?" And we're like, "Well, we working along." So the doctor comes in and says the test results are back, and I don't know if I can even tell it, because it's almost like a blur to me, because I was like, it was an out of body experience. I don't know.
I remember it like it was just there, and I could visually see.
Let me say this, is that I formed some kind of disconnect, even still to this day now, and I'm just now thinking about it from the whole experience. It was that traumatic.
It was traumatic for you. I know it was.
Well, speak on it, sis. Speak on it, because
it was. And this is the thing about us as sisters. Niece, I'll put it this way. I am calmer when something's going on urgently. Niecey can get a little, what's going on? She gets a little bit more emotional. I can usually kind of stay level and say, what did you say?
I can function.
You can function, but you have to have your moment for your reaction.
Yes.
I noticed that about you. I can shut it down. You don't shut it down.
Suppress it.
I suppress it. You don't. You be like, and I got to do this. Well, to go back to what he did, he came in. If you ever been in a hospital where they had him sliding doors, he came in. I'm giving you a visual best I can. He came in through the door, never really came all the way in. If you visualize what you probably saw, he never really came in through the door.
He wasn't all the way in.
He wasn't. He didn't come in and step in. He was kind of sitting in that cross thing between the door, between his legs almost.
Yes.
And he's come in and he's looking up. Mama got the TV on. We got the TV on up there. And he said the test came back, and the cancer has spread to your lungs, your liver, and some of your bones, something to that effect.
He said it all. He said
listed all them organs, your neck,
and your thyroid, your chest, your soft tissue, your femur, your hip,
and then Niecey says, "Excuse me, what did you just say?" And he rattled it off again, all those words. It's not compassionately, nothing.
So dry, matter of fact.
Just dry, matter of fact. And me, and this is the part I, work with other healthcare professionals too. I think it's difficult for them.
I think so too.
I think it's difficult for them.
It's probably really hard for him.
Yeah, to even have to come give a family
change our lives, because we were
news.
so relaxed. We we like
girl. I know. Don't cry. We good. We good. See, suppression, emotion. See, Real talk. But we do this. Bernice, Niecee reacts. Me and Mama's kind of stunned. So am I. I'm just sitting here, and I know I can feel it. Like I'm here in the moment. I'm just sitting there with my laptop, and I was like, "What the?" And I when I get emotional or in those moments, I drop a curse word. Mad. I do. I get a little mad, and I was like, "What the did he just say?" And then, but I immediately shift to Mama, and I'm looking at her, and that's where, to your point earlier about her emotion and where she goes quiet. And you can see, you see that there's something going on that she's saying to herself. Now I'm about to get emotional, but you can see that there's fan you. Yeah, I'm fan you. Something that you could see in her eyes. Yeah, you got up and left. I couldn't even take it. I knew, and just from growing up with my moms, when those kind of moms, she'd be like, "Hold it together," So I knew. I guess a part of me knew I couldn't fall to pieces. Yeah, you had to keep it together. I had to keep it together, so I had to run to the bathroom. Yeah, keep it cute. Don't be getting all crazy. I was falling apart, so I had to go to the bathroom and fall apart real quick, and then pull myself together and come back like, "Okay, Mama, hold my chest out. I'm okay, Mama. I'm okay." Like, yeah. But it was a sad moment. It was very devastating. Sad. It was devastating. And then from there, we had to tell our siblings and other family members. And so me and Niecee, we left Mama for a little while. Yeah. To go do that. And then we talked to all of our siblings and everybody about it, and just to kind of let them know that it had come back. Yes. But she had said when she, we knew we had to go back and go talk to the oncologist and all of that. Now that meeting was where Voni got a little irritated, but I digress.
We are going to pause here. So tune in next week for part 2 of Caring for Aging Parents. Keep coming back. We appreciate you spending time with the SisterGirl sessions today. And we're going to go ahead and close. And you all have a great rest of your time, and we'll see you on the next session. Peace.